Hey everyone, we hit over 3,500 subscribers, and thanks to you enjoying my videos so much, I'm now part of the YouTuber Partner Program. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this video. I realized that I have a huge backlog of footage from the past 2 years, and I wanted to do something with it. So in today's video, I'll talk about my journey to becoming a self-employed artist and my experience going viral. Before we dive in, I just quickly want to let you know that I started a Patreon. Here, I'll be offering exclusive behind the scenes, a monthly podcast, a postcard club, and a few other things. So if you'd like to support me, please go check it out. You can find the link in the description. With that said, let's get into today's video. Growing up, my ideas for future jobs were all over the place. I remember wanting to become a pastry chef, a writer, a child psychologist, an illustrator, and when it was finally time for me to make a decision on what to do, I decided I wanted to become a graphic designer. It was a decision that I made based on, honestly, very little knowledge. By this point, I knew that I wanted to go to art school because I knew that I wanted to create, but I was really scared of the idea of becoming an artist. So I went for the career path that to me seemed the most safe within art school. I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy my time in art school very much. I was 17 years old when I started, which 10 years later I realized is pretty much a baby, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing or what I wanted. The majority of people there were older than me and had already gone to college before. And I'm sure that this doesn't count for everyone, but I think art school is very difficult to get into when you don't really know what you want and why you're there and lack the basic skills. I graduated in 2018 with very mixed feelings. I was happy to have my degree, but I also knew that a career as a graphic designer was not really for me. During my time in art school, there was this constant battle between wanting to create using my hands and the fact that graphic design was mostly digital work. This was also the time where they really tried to force augmented reality on us for some reason, and I hated it. I remember our school actually having a really beautiful ceramic studio, but I didn't let myself try it as I didn't know how to make it work with the course that I was following. I really regret letting that hold me back to explore, but I just really did not know what I was doing there, and I was just too young to fully understand how to make the best of it. When I finished school, I moved to Canada to live with Casey, then my fiance, and now my husband. I felt really lost during this time. I worked as a freelancer for a while alongside Casey, who's a web designer, but I just didn't really feel any passion for it. I did lots of hobbies on the side, cosplay and costume making being the biggest one. And I think this is when I finally gave into that need to create with my hands. And I fell head over heels in love with the creative process. But costume making and cosplay is something that I felt would be very hard to pursue as a career. I started thinking about ceramics and the interest that I'd had in the past when I was peeking into the classrooms at school. So I started doing some research, and the more I found out about it, the more I thought, this is something that I have to try. So I signed up for my first realtoring course, and that's where I fell in love. After trying a few different courses, I felt really sad that I didn't get to work on my new skill outside of the classroom. So I just felt that this is what I wanted to do every single day. At this point, we had moved back to the Netherlands, and my already lacking passion for graphic design was dwindling further, and so did my work opportunities. I ended up working full-time at a local bakery, and this was not a permanent gig, but more of an in-between thing, something that I thought would be easy to do while I figured out what I wanted to do for work. It turned out not to be that easy, and I soon found myself working 11-hour days from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. with little break time, understaffed, and under high amounts of stress, so pretty much the classic horrifying service job scenario. During this is when I started to invest more time into ceramics. I just felt that there was something there for me, so I saved up for my first pottery wheel and I started throwing as much as I could in my free time, right next to the living room in our little studio apartment. I saw myself improve quickly and it lit a fire in me, but I was still working 44 hours a week, and on my days off, I was absolutely exhausted. Initially, I lowered my working hours to 30 hours a week, but in reality, I still ended up working more than that. This job was crushing my soul, and I felt that I had to get out. And one morning, when I got into work, something happened. I don't remember what, but I snapped, and I called my boss, and I quit that day, which was a very impulsive decision. And at this point, I already knew that I wanted to pursue a career as a self-employed artist. And now that I had so suddenly quit, I really had to get to work to make this happen. My business initially started with me selling art prints, but I barely had any followers, so I didn't really sell much. I kept practicing hard on my pottery skills and started working towards my first collection. And during my 2 years of working at the bakery, I saved up enough money to buy myself a kiln and other necessary tools, and to have a small buffer for the next couple of months. My first collection went live, and to my amazement, I actually sold some pieces. I had around 400 followers at the time, and I didn't really expect much, so each sale that I made gave me more confidence that I could make this work somehow. Over the next couple months, I slowly grew my audience. I sold some pieces here and there and moved into a shared studio space. It was really nice to have a few months to fully focus on setting up my business, but now it was definitely the time for me to find a part-time job to go alongside my business. So I applied for a job at an elderly living facility, and I served meals and did the dishes there. I really loved this job, and it didn't feel like it was giving me any unnecessary stress. It was exactly what I needed at that point. At this time, I'd gathered about 1,000 followers, and my first few collections were out. I was making sales every drop, but it was definitely very slow still. Basically, I was selling just enough to buy supplies and pay for my studio rent. And honestly, that doesn't sound too bad to me when you consider that I started from basically nothing. To pursue a career as an artist, I think you have to stay very realistic and realize that you will not be making a real income from the get-go. These things take a lot of time, and you have to accept that you'll need to make some financial sacrifices and have a very good plan. But then in January, I posted a video that suddenly changed everything for me. Yep, it happened. I had a viral, massive moment at the beginning of 2023, which made me go from struggling artist to being able to quit my part-time job. I know, what a cheat code. So annoying. But I'll tell you why going viral is actually not that beneficial in the long run. And I know you're probably gonna roll your eyes at that, I get it. Just listen to what I have to say. So to start, why did my video go viral? From what I've observed with my own content and other artists that have blown up, there's a couple things that most viral art has in common. One, it's often the most random side project that you were just doing purely for yourself. Two, it's usually something that for some reason causes division or confusion in the comments. In my case, it was this video of me testing my first cloud watering bell. When I discovered watering bells were a thing, my first thought was rain cloud. So I started working on the idea as a side project to see if I could even make a working watering bell, because I had never made one before, and to practice my sculpting skills, because that was a very new technique for me. First of all, this thing, when you look at it, it's massive. The current watering bells that I make are a lot smaller than this one. But I had no plan, I just went for it, and it turned into this massive cloud. So I think the visual of the cloud being so big, being dipped into the water and raining down over the plant is what got people to go, what is this thing? Before I knew it, I had gathered millions of views across all platforms. Facebook and TikTok were the first ones to go viral, and then Instagram also went viral a couple weeks later. It was terrifying. With that massive audience came a crazy amount of hate too. At that point, with my small audience, I never expected any sort of online negativity, so it was quite shocking to be confronted with that for the first time. I honestly still don't know why this thing makes people so angry. I saw my following climb from around 2K followers to 10K, 15K, 25K, and then all the way to 70K in the span of a few months, and this was the case on all of my platforms. Of course, I knew I really needed to go all in on this cloud idea, so I started working incredibly hard to translate this first test piece into a finished, sellable piece. And when I finally did, my work started selling out instantly. It was crazy. Months before, I was doing anything to get noticed by the algorithm, and suddenly, out of nowhere, I was there. And I tried to keep up with the demand as much as I could. And for the majority of 2023, I worked on my cloud watering bells. I had another viral wave, this time because I decided to make a reel about the complaints about the pricing of my work. If you want a cheat code to going viral, just mention the price of your work. People love to fight about it. It's really fun. But working on the clouds nonstop made it hard for me to put my energy into anything else. And I started to become very overwhelmed by the sudden attention. I know some people are very good at taking a viral moment and running with it, but I struggled to keep it going. So you're probably thinking, so far that sounds pretty good. You're a full-time artist now. How can going viral possibly be bad? And it's true. It launched my career in a way that I could have never imagined. And in the end, I'm definitely thankful for it. But the sudden demand and attention can either make you or break you. And for me, it kind of did the latter. I'm a huge introvert, and to suddenly have millions of eyes on me felt terrifying. It was just such a massive shift that I didn't really know how to handle it. It came with a huge sense of imposter syndrome. I almost felt like I didn't deserve all the attention, like I didn't work long and hard enough to get here, and I kind of turned inwards and didn't post as much as I should have. I even took a social media break at one point, and it's incredibly stupid, first of all, that the algorithm doesn't allow for mental health breaks, but I definitely lost my momentum around that time. I think many of my followers were there for this viral moment, but might have forgotten about me by the time I came back. That's why building an audience slowly and organically over time is so much more important than going viral in my eyes. It builds a much stronger base. I feel like if I went viral today, I'd be much better at handling it. It's almost like it happened too soon for me, during a time that I was still exploring my business and what I wanted to make. I'm still making clouds today, but my sales have not been as good as they were last year. And on top of that, the current algorithm shifts have been so brutal to many artists, including myself. So my work is not really being pushed anymore. My engagement numbers are not that much higher than they were when I only had a couple of thousand followers. So having said all that though, I still can't complain. I'm able to pay my bills and I have food on the table by selling my art, and I think that's a pretty massive win already. I'm now at a spot where I probably have an easier time getting noticed in the first place, and a lot of my customers are repeat buyers, which is a really great feeling. I'm also trying to branch out to other income streams by launching my Patreon and also trying new things like apparel and prints. When it comes to the longevity and sustainability of a small business, I truly think slow and steady wins the race. If you're an artist building up their social media account and you're frustrated by the numbers, try to remember that every single follower that you're gaining is someone making a very conscious decision to follow you. They're not just there because of a viral moment, they're there for you and your work. Treasure that, nurture it, and I think you will see that that's so much more valuable than having a high number viral moment like that. So I'm currently actually experiencing a lot of unfollows. My graph of followers has been looking like this for months now, and I keep bopping between 76 and 77k followers. But I see this as a good thing. I'm being discovered by new people that hopefully really enjoy my work, and maybe losing the people that might have followed me without too much thought during that viral moment. So I'm hoping it's my way of kind of getting back on track and building a stronger core audience. It's also why I value YouTube so much. It feels like I'm slowly building a community again of people who want to pay attention to what I have to share. And long-form content also feels much more powerful than the fleeting short-form content on other platforms. So I want to thank you for being here and for reinvigorating that passion that I had for sharing my work and my thoughts online. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you're an artist or an aspiring one, I hope that this video gave you some courage to stick to what you're doing. When you're passionate about something and keep putting your work out there, the right audience will come to you. It might take time, but that's okay. wherever you are, I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope to see you again next time. Ooh. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You tired? You want to take a nap? Bye!